Hey, it's your girl Kenda, host of Mind of My Own podcast. We are back for episode 4, Money Talk. And guess who I got today? I got some special guests today. These are some amazing people, very smart people. I got my girl Gloria back. Hey, she is here, owner and financial consultant of First Class Financial Solutions. Glad to have you back here, Gloria. Thank you for stopping in. And we got my boy Ricardo. Hey, he is a financial advisor for Northwestern Mutual. He's going to give us some gems today as well. Glad to have you, Ricardo. Yes, sir. So, guys, we're going to start with Gloria today. We're going to just do a little refresher so people can remember like what you do, how you got into this. Okay. And then we'll move on to Ricardo. So tell us a little bit about you, Gloria.
So, hey, y'all. So my name is Gloria. I own a credit repair. Where do I look at? Let me just make sure I ain't looking like cockeye. Is it this
right
thing right
in the front, yeah.
Okay. So my name is Gloria. I own a credit repair company by the name of First Class Financial Solutions. And basically what I do is I help clients repair and rebuild their credit profile.
Nice. And we do need that. We need that, girl. So thank you so much for coming and spreading that knowledge for us today. We need it. Right? And Ricardo, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. As a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual, to say it in short words, I help my clients achieve financial security. And to every person that I meet, financial security means a lot of different things. So I help them fund their dreams, their objectives, their goals. And to divide that process, we use 3 steps to get there, right? We use risk management, planning for insurances, right? What types of insurances do we need, or do we have any in place? We talk about wealth accumulation strategies. What accounts do we need to open up? How much do we need to invest?
Yeah.
And the third part is the wealth preservation and distribution. You do such a good job investing your whole life. Now you need to know where or how to distribute that money.
Yes.
Right? Like what accounts do we need to pull money out? How can we preserve our wealth? How do we keep it in the family? How do we not pay taxes, right? How do we do that? Like I help my clients achieve all of those.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. And we need it.
Yes, we do.
You know, there's this whole thing these days where we're chasing the bag. Everybody's chasing the bag, but they don't know how to keep the bag. You know, it's chase it, spend it, and you know, when they get paid next, they'll do it again. Let's break that cycle. Let's build some generational wealth, and let's strengthen you guys' personal financial circumstances along with your business. So I got a few questions today for each of these special people today. I'm going to start with Gloria. So, Gloria,
yes,
tell us a little bit about credit. Like, what makes up a credit score?
So a credit score pretty much involves 5 different. Well, let's just start with a credit report.
Okay.
So a credit report is basically a report that shows like your credit worthiness to like a lender.
Okay.
And your credit report basically consists of 5 different components. One of the biggest components is credit history. So that accounts for about 35% of your credit score. So, you know, lenders want to know, do you pay your bills on time?
Right.
Do you pay your bills on time? Do you have late payments? Are those late payments recent? Are they back to back? Or are they maybe 2+ years older? So payment history is definitely one of the biggest factors when it comes to your credit profile and your credit score.
Okay.
The next one is like available credit or debt to income ratio. So that's about 30% of your overall credit score. And let me just backtrack. So your credit score ranges anywhere, depending on like the credit module, anywhere between like 300 to 850.
Okay.
So basically we are in control of 550 of those points. So 35% of that 550 points is dedicated to credit history. 30% of that is dedicated to like credit utilization. So like if you have debt, like how much debt do you have maybe in relation to your income?
Yeah.
Is it a struggle to pay for stuff? Are you making minimum payments on your credit cards? Things of that nature.
Okay.
The next one is how long you've had credit. So that accounts for 15% of your credit score. So when lenders look at your credit, they want to see, are these accounts new? Have you had these accounts for several years? Is this account open? Is this account closed? So that's really important when lenders look at your credit profile.
Okay.
Another thing is credit mix. So credit mix accounts for 10%, about 10% of your credit score. And basically what that is do you only have like credit cards on your credit report? Do you just have maybe car loans on your credit report? Lenders like to see a mixture of accounts.
Okay.
Especially like, let's just say, for example, you're going to get a car. And let's say all you have on there is a $200 secured credit card. They might not approve you for a car loan depending upon how much that car is, just because they don't know if you can financially pay that note back, because all you have on your credit profile is a $200 secured credit card. You don't have no type of loan on there, just to show that you can handle a bigger monthly payment and on time.
Okay.
The last thing that accounts for your credit profile is hard inquiries.
Hard inquiries.
Yes.
Okay.
So that accounts for another like 10% of your credit profile. I always like to tell people it is not good to run your credit, especially if your credit profile is horrible. If you have a lot of collection accounts, if you have a lot of derogatory accounts, if you have a bankruptcy, if you have a repossession on there, it would be best to not apply for any type of credit, especially like a credit card, because 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to get denied for it. And then on top of getting denied for that, your score is going to drop because you have brand new hard inquiries on your credit report.
How long does your score drop for?
It depends. Like, I feel like one hard inquiry can maybe drop your score maybe anywhere between like 1 to 10 points.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah. So if you have a lot of them, it is a negative thing. Sometimes lenders will look at that as if like you're credit seeking. Like, what are they trying to do something? Like, why they keep running their credit and their credit is already bad, trying to get approved for stuff. It looks really bad.
Yeah. And you see that
when you apply for stuff and get denied for it.
Wow.
It's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
So, those are pretty much like the 5 components that reflects a credit score.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. I want to ask you a couple other things. So what are some tips for boosting a credit score, since we're talking about what kind of brings it down and, what not to do? What can they do to improve it?
So I feel like it depends. What I like to do before I even do any recommendations is let's look at your credit. Let's see what's on there. So let's say if someone has absolutely nothing on their credit profile, not a loan, not a credit card, like nothing. The first thing I would probably recommend is a secure credit card. And basically what a secure credit card is, it works just like a regular credit card, except you have to fund that card with your own money.
Interesting.
And the reason why I would recommend that is because, one, you most likely probably won't get approved for a unsecured credit card just because you don't have any accounts on there. Some lenders will look at no credit as bad credit because they don't know. Like, we don't know.
They don't know your habits. Yeah, they don't know what you're going to do.
So I would recommend definitely a secured credit card when it comes to building credit. Now, let's say maybe a client has a credit card on their credit report already. I'll look at other things, like maybe they can apply for like a personal loan, like a small personal loan, maybe like $1,000. Monthly payments aren't that expensive, something that they can manage, because then that's tying into like having credit mix on your profile. Okay. So you have something outside of a credit card on your credit report. What I recommend, like, ideally for like a solid credit report, is if a client has anywhere between like 2 to 5 credit cards, being responsible with them, a short-term loan, so something that's less than like $5,000 that'll take maybe like a year or 2 to pay off, and then like a bigger loan, like a mortgage loan or a car loan that'll take several years to pay off, because that's showing credit mix and is showing that you can handle different kinds of debts.
What about student loans?
So student loans actually help a lot, to be honest, as long as it's positive. So there may be situations where people have student loans and it's in deferment, but it'll still report like on-time payments every single month.
Yeah.
As long as it's in deferment. But some people also need to be aware of when those student loans come out of deferment, because you don't want to be hit with surprise late payments. That sucks.
Yeah, but you don't want to be hit with that. And fees.
Listen, that sucks. But just based on like the profiles that I've seen, a lot of my clients actually do have student loan accounts on their credit report.
Yeah.
And they're pretty old. So like having aged accounts on your credit profile help in a major way, because that's credit age. Like, okay, this account been reporting for 10 years, like, and it's all positive payments. Like, lenders love that.
Yeah. Are there any lenders that you would recommend that people, use for like the small loans you were saying? Or I heard that it's best to like use a credit union.
Yeah, so I love credit unions. I have several. I feel like they offer more competitive like interest rates, and not saying that banks don't. I just feel like credit unions have better rates just from what I've seen so far. So like if you're in Wisconsin, Landmark Credit Union, Educators Credit Union, or like something that's out of state, Navy Federal Credit Union is an amazing bank. Smaller banks that might not be as popular, like maybe like Summit Credit Union. I just really love credit unions. So I would recommend definitely doing that, especially if you have like an account with them already. So you've kind of established a relationship with that bank. So it'd be more likely that they're willing to like give you some funds pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. I love that. Are there any recommendations that you can make when it comes to how to pay off some of those credit cards? I know earlier you were saying that there's a certain ratio of debt that you should have.
Yes.
Okay.
So credit cards can be a dangerous thing.
Man.
Let me tell you something. I feel like people use credit cards for the wrong reasons. And when it comes to a credit card, I feel like use it as if you were going to use maybe your debit card or cash.
Okay.
Because you can pay it back right away. People like to use credit cards as like a loan, which technically it is, but they just go about it a horrible way.
Yeah.
So for example, gas, you got to put gas in your car anyways. You was about to give, the clerk cash or use your debit card, swipe your credit card. You probably even get some points from that credit card. Why not?
That's
you were going to put gas in your car anyways. Or for people that, pay for groceries, use your credit card. You were about to spend cash anyways, or swipe your debit card.
Girl, they got food stamps. They ain't
listen, sell me some. No.
They got food stamps. They ain't swiping that credit card that you can save. No, I'm just kidding.
So, like things that you were already going to pay for with cash or debit, just use your credit card.
Okay.
Me, I tell people all the time, I live off my credit cards. I pay my rent with my credit card.
Nice.
I use gas for my credit card. The car I got now, I actually put half of the value of my car on my credit card. The dealership let me do that. I have very, very high limit credit cards, but I was going to use, instead of using cash, why not use my card and just pay that off like next week or in the next couple of days? Because not only are you building positive payment history, but depending on what kind of credit card you have, you're getting rewards points.
Right.
That's what I'm all about. I love credit cards that offer some type of reward. I haven't paid for a flight in over a year just from using my credit card. I'm talking about like regular flights, first class flight.
Wow, teach me something.
Like all of that. So I always tell people, use your credit cards, especially if it was something you were already going to use your debit card for or cash. The amount of points or rewards you get from a credit card, a debit card could really never. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Now, paying credit cards.
Yes.
I recommend when you use a credit card, you have something on your credit card statement that has a due date and it has a statement end date.
Yep.
Let's pretend like the due date doesn't exist. It's not as important as your statement end date. And this is why. Whatever your balance is on that statement end date, that's the balance that gets reported to the credit bureaus, not the due date.
Interesting.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
So when I pay my credit cards, I pay it like 2 or 3 days before the statement end date so that it's fully processed by that statement end date. Now, leaving balances aren't bad, but it's the kind of balance that you leave.
Yeah.
Mhm.
A lot of gurus be like 30% of your credit card balance. Me personally, that's too high.
Mhm.
I tell everybody 10%.
Okay.
And then if you want to avoid interest rate on that interest rate fees on that credit card, pay the remaining balance off by that due date. But on the statement end date, make sure your balance is no higher than 10% of your total limit.
We're gonna say that one more time. Make sure
make sure your credit card balance is no higher than 10% of your credit limit balance. For example, if you have a credit card that has $1,000 balance, by that statement end date, you should have a balance no higher than $100. That's at the highest.
y'all gonna want to play this back. Y'all gonna want to play this back for these gems. I'm telling you.
That's the highest.
Wow.
30%, throw that out the window. The people you done learn from YouTube, no.
10%. Nice.
10%.
So she said a few days prior to the statement end date, make a payment.
Yes.
And
And then if you want to avoid interest fees, pay the remainder of that small balance by your due date.
there we go.
People always complain about the fees, the interest of a credit card. If you pay it to zero, then what fees?
Then there's no fees.
What interest?
Right. That's so helpful, Gloria.
Yes.
That's so helpful. Thank you.
Question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So let's say I log into my, credit card app,
Mhm.
and it says my payment is due on the 3rd of July. Right now it's the 29th. I should make my payment tomorrow, 30th.
Is that your statement end date?
Well, just for example, like,
Okay.
when people log into their accounts, let's say they see, their balance says your minimum payment is $150.
Okay.
Or whatever, right? It's due on the 3rd of July. Today's the 29th. To your point, do you need to make the payment 3 days prior so that it shows better on your statement, or what do you mean by that?
That depends. So usually like the statement end date is before the due date.
Mm-hmm.
So you will
that's
want
due
to,
date.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you will want to make sure that the balance is no higher than 10% by that statement end date. Normally it's the statement end date and then the due date.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
Look. I gotta clap for that because whoa, that's mind blowing. People don't know that,
No,
so
they don't.
this is very, very important. Very important. Let me ask you this:
Okay.
how can we start planning for our kids early on with credit?
Okay. For one, don't put nothing in your kid's name because your name messed up.
Don't be putting that energies in them kids' names.
We're not gonna do that.
Nope.
I done ran into some situations.
Wow.
with some clients, yes. So when it comes to kids, like I know, like a lot of people would be like, you can put your kids on your credit card as like a authorized user.
Mhm.
I would recommend maybe probably doing that like between 16-ish, 17. You don't have to do it necessarily when they're a kid because it's not going to report anything anyways.
Right.
Like they're underage, but like maybe like a couple years before they're 18, add them as an authorized user. However, if you adding them as an authorized user and you're not responsible with your stuff, don't add them because what affects you in a negative way will affect
them.
their credit.
Wow.
Yes. So if you're not responsible, don't do it.
So would you say maybe just getting a credit card with a small balance and letting them have control of it, or
I don't think they can have control over it until they're a certain age.
Okay.
To be honest, I would, and if a card is received through the mail, I honestly would keep it because I wouldn't want my son to have like that much power.
Right.
Because kids be buying crazy
all
stuff.
kind of Roblox and Fortnite.
Yeah, so I necessarily wouldn't do that, but like establishing, like you could have a, you know what I'm saying, your kid could turn 18 and then mess around and have a credit score higher than you.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Just because of you being responsible, and that's all they have is something positive on their, you know, on their credit profile. And then that's building age as well. As they get older, you're like, wow, this person 25 and they got a credit card since, you know what I'm saying, like 8 years or something like that. Like that looks great. That looks like you're responsible.
Right. I wish my parents knew that.
Yes. And then I feel like, you know, just teaching your kids about credit, because I'm naturally in the credit repair industry. Like my son actually, well, he has a debit card, but I teach him like about finances. Like, and he'd be like, I don't want to hear that, but you gonna hear it.
Because you need to know.
Because it's really important. You know, I was one of them people that had really bad credit. I got sued and all type of stuff. And it took a while for me to get out of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely a credit card. I don't think they would really, no, they wouldn't qualify for a loan, but yeah, that'll help definitely, you know, establish credit.
Love that. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This is, see, guys, these are some gems. I want to ask you something else.
Okay.
Let's talk about those major purchases that people want to make on credit, like buying a house, purchasing a vehicle.
Okay.
What are some tips you have for that?
Okay. So let's start with vehicles. So when you are getting a vehicle, to be honest, I feel like it is ideal to wait until your credit profile is in a healthy situation.
Okay.
Now I know like life be lifing.
It do
and
be
some
lifing.
people be like, I can't really wait. Like I ain't trying to get on the bus. I need a car.
Yeah.
So and the reason why I feel like people should wait until their credit profile is healthy, because for one, you might be in a situation where you're paying for that car twice.
Yeah.
And values of cars decrease. They don't really increase.
How quickly do they decrease? Like right away?
Yeah, as soon as you pull off the lot.
It's brand new.
As soon as you pull off the lot.
Even the luxury cars?
Mm-hmm. Even the luxury cars.
Wow.
As soon as you put 1 mile on that, it is worth less than you bought. Yep.
Wow. Wow.
So, you know, people be having like OC interest rates, and I would probably buy like a used Trapper before I buy something that's like 30, 40, 50,000. And then you turn around and you done pay 90,000 for a $50 car that's worth 20,000. Like it really get like that. Another thing with vehicles, it is best to see if you can get pre-approved through a bank versus going to a dealership. Because what the dealership does,
they be on that grimy stuff.
They will run your credit literally to the ground to see what company is willing to finance this debt for you.
Wow.
So you might end up with 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 hard inquiries from one day from them seeing, especially if you have bad credit, to see who's willing to, you know, finance this car and loan the money to you. Versus you just getting a pre-approval through the bank, and you could just walk in with like the check or the letter. Your credit was ran one time and that's it. Now, another thing I want to mention, if you are in a situation and you do have several hard inquiries from one day from like a dealership, sometimes depending on the lender, even though they see all those hard inquiries, they might count that as like one. Yeah. It kind of just
that would
depends.
Be generous,
but it's still I don't know. I still don't like it.
Yeah.
Inquiries naturally fall off of your credit report in 2 years. Some people wait it out.
It takes that long? 2 years?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep. So if you apply for something in February of 2023, it won't come off until on its own unless you dispute it until February of 2025.
So that's credit card. That's auto loans. That's any type of
inquiry. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. If it's in inquiry. What when it comes to vehicles, go to the bank to get a pre-approval. Don't go to the dealership. Make sure your credit is healthy. If you know you got like a 5 something credit score, just prepare to have a double digit, interest pretty much. And then at the end of the day, is it really worth it? Like, yeah, you got a car now, but you might hate that car 6 months later. Like, this piece of junk, it ain't even worth it. Like, so, really, really, really think about that.
Good
now,
tips.
when it comes to a home, I don't know. Maybe you can speak more on that. I think if I'm not mistaken, like you have to have like a credit score of like maybe like 640, 680. I didn't heard like 620 before, depending on I guess like who you go through.
So over 600.
Yeah, to get approved for like a home loan, but they like you to not apply for anything because home loans are really, really picky. Like, you don't want to be like in a pre-approval process and then something new pop up and they be like, no, actually, it's over. We can't help you. We can't help you at all. Or sometimes like people that work like in the mortgage department, sometimes I'll be feeling like they be giving clients the wrong information. Like I know like dude just mentioned like they might be like, oh, pay this collection off. Mm-hmm. When something goes to collection, I actually tell my clients not to pay it, to be honest, unless it's like a situation where they're getting maybe sued or your checks are getting garnished or they about to take you to court. And the reason is because if you have something in collections, that basically means like the original creditor sold your debt to pennies on the dollar to a collection company.
And then they're still trying to collect the full balance from you.
Collect the full balance, and that's how they make a humongous profit.
Yeah.
So if you pay something that's on collections, unless they're willing to put something in writing that basically says, if you pay this, we'll delete this from your credit report, it'll actually still stay on your credit report. It'll just say paid, but it's still affecting you in a negative way.
Wow.
So that's why I like to tell people, don't pay collections. Let's see, can we remove it from your credit profile first? And then once it's removed, then let's see if we can settle on that account while it's removed, just to prevent it from like randomly popping up or being sold to like another collection company.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's knowledge. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, like the housing market is crazy and a lot of people are looking to rent property if they can't buy a home. And it's crazy. I went through this actually about a year ago. When looking for a new place to stay, they're charging you application fees now, and they're running your credit to determine if they want you to stay there. But some of them actually already know who they're gonna give the place to, and they're still taking applications. The fees still running people's credit. It's insane. It's terrible.
I heard about
it's unethical practices, and I mean, people that own apartment complexes, they're in the business of making money.
Yeah.
And I mean, those fees can rack up. At my apartment, because I rent.
Yeah.
Every year that you have a lease and it's coming up to an end, they'll send you like a paper in writing saying like, hey, you can renew your lease with us, or if you decide to move, here are the cost of trying to move again. And they'll give you like a breakdown of like, it's going to cost you those application fees, the first month deposit, maybe they require like a last month deposit, the first month rent. So they want to get you to stay in the same complex. But the fees that I've been seeing, like the average amount that people pay to move out to another apartment or another place, those fees are like skyrocketing.
Yeah, they're crazy high.
And I mean, people are, they're profiting from like people paying these fees, and
some of them application fees, OC,
it's insane. I mean, I was paying fees $50.
That's too high.
And you got like 10 other people in competition with you for the same unit, and they're running everybody's credit. And you got more than one application out there. I mean, there's no way around it, right? Like you said, it's kind of like they're forcing you to stay where you are.
Yeah, and I don't know. There's always that debate of whether I should own a house or rent. Yeah. And honestly, it depends on the person. Like, I don't like when people just give a blanket advice saying like, no, you should just buy a house. Like, renting is bad.
Yeah.
Renting is not bad. You don't have a liability on your balance sheet. You don't have a mortgage that you owe. You have the flexibility to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with renting. It's just a matter of what your priorities are individually. You can't follow the crowd. And if every mortgage lender or realtor is saying like, no, you need to buy a house because it's an asset, they're not looking at your own specific situation. So I feel like people need to take a step back and realize like, what do I want?
Right.
Renting isn't bad. Like that, the way that I look at it, I'm like, I like renting. I don't have anything of a liability on my balance sheet. I have the ability to move out of state if I want to,
Yeah.
So there's always pros and cons to like either or.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, guys. Awesome. So I'm gonna take it over to you here, Ricardo. I got some questions for you too. So again, guys, he's a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual. I actually worked with Ricardo recently at one of my events, Coach My Growth, and he was our financial coach. And he did a really good job. And we're actually going to be initiating phase 2 in October. Y'all be looking out for the flyer. But yes, our goal is to educate the community and help people with their business, make sure they get their questions answered, get the resources that they need. And so this platform is going to be used to do just that. And Ricardo is a team player. So I'm so glad to have you here.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit. What does a financial advisor do? Why does somebody need a financial advisor?
Well, my belief is that at some point people should work with an advisor.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, I don't want to push it down and say like, yeah, you need to work with one. But eventually, like when I mentioned at the beginning that there's multiple stages in financial planning. So there's a stage of accumulating wealth like that. Making money is pretty easy, right? Like if you have an employer, they give you a 401k plan, you roll into it, you're already an investor. They're doing a good job of investing your money every month, every paycheck. So you're accumulating wealth for retirement, right? One day to call it quits.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that I see a lot is that not too many people know the second phase. So wealth accumulation is going up the summit. Going down the summit, it's a whole different game.
Okay.
Right? Imagine going up to Mount Everest. You climb the summit. I don't know if you guys heard of this before, but people actually die coming on the way down. It's harder climbing down the mountain than actually getting to the top. And most deaths that do happen on Mount Everest are on the way down. So with financial planning, for me, it's kind of scary to realize that a lot of people don't think about that phase of one day calling it quits.
Mm-hmm.
Because they think that their employer or the government is going to take care of them. And that's simply not true.
Yeah.
So a good financial advisor, what they'll do is they'll take a look at your objectives, your goals, see what's a priority to you, what's important to you, right? Personally, financially, professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal is to help you, right, with all these 3 different stages. So protect what you have, protect your loved ones, accumulate wealth, and then preserve it and distribute it appropriately.
Nice.
By having someone that you like and trust in your corner, you can go to your advisor. And our job is to basically tell our clients at the end of the day, like, hey, you have enough money to go on that vacation. You have enough money to send your kids to college. You have enough money to travel to Europe or do whatever you want. We don't want to give our clients the overwhelming thought of like, hey, can I afford to retire? Like, can I afford to do these things that I want to accomplish? So a good advisor is they're gonna hold your hand throughout every challenge, throughout every obstacle that you have in your life. And at Northwestern Mutual, the average client sticks with their advisor for the long run, so 40 plus years.
Nice.
When I meet with people, I tell them my goal is to grow old with you, right? I want to be there for when you do retire. Nowadays, I mean, when you think of an advisor, you think about, at least what I thought about was a white person.
Yeah.
In their 50s, right?
Yeah, you think of an old white guy sitting there, trying to tell you what to do.
I'm 27. I work with a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, and I tell them, like, hey, I'm 27. I don't ever want to call it quits in this business. I give you my faith that I'm going to be here when you need me the most.
Yeah.
I want to be there for when you call it quits. I want to see you, send your kids to college. I want to see you get married. I want to see you have kids. It's a beautiful thing, developing these relationships with clients.
Nice.
And that's what's fulfilling. So an advisor just provides so much value. And I give my clients an out even before we do, like, if we decide to work together. I'll say, like, hey, you can do a lot of these things on your own, right? You can go online through Ameritrade, Vanguard, Fidelity, open up your own accounts. But at the end of the day, what I'm going to help you is hold you accountable, coach you, hold your hand through these tough transitions.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're getting paid for is, for that. Because if you're looking to just invest money, I'll tell my clients, like, hey, you can go on Robinhood. Like, if you want to mess around with stocks, go on E-Trade. Do that thing on your own. If you're looking to actually set up your financial future and then set up a plan, like, I want to be the guy for you. I want to help you out with that.
Let me ask you this. when is a good time for someone to engage with you? Like, when should someone in their life say, okay, let me get a financial consultant, let me work with an advisor? Like, when is a good time for someone to do that?
So there's a few, life altering situations that happen. For example, having a baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's huge because then we start thinking about, okay, like as new parents, what were to happen if one of us doesn't make it home one day?
Yeah.
We start talking about insurances, right? Like, do we need life insurance? What type of insurances do we need to set in place?
Big one. Life insurance. I gotta clap for that.
I just had my exam today too.
Hit Miss Gloria up or Ricardo.
Let's talk.
Hey,
life
these two know
insurance
their
is
stuff.
super important.
Super important.
So like different things that happen in your life, like having a baby, getting married, parents that send their kids to school, they become empty nesters now. Like that's huge as well.
Yeah.
People that are approaching retirement, so let's say 10 years before 65 or whatever their age may be. And I work with a lot of parents, so automatically they refer me to their kids. They're like, hey, my kid is 22, 23, 24, whatever, they're young. I want you to help them get started, like set them up, give them good advice on like what they should be doing. Because honestly, when it comes to financial planning, the earlier you start, the better it is.
Okay.
You take away so many obstacles down the road if you just start early, right? I tell my clients it's better to start now, baby steps at a time, before it gets to be too late.
Mm-hmm.
So there's never really a bad or a good or wrong time to get started. But usually those life-changing events are usually what triggers people to like, hey, maybe I should talk to a financial advisor.
Nice.
And honestly, like nobody wakes up one day looking for a financial advisor.
Right.
We get referred to people, right? So it's like, hey, go talk to Ricardo. He helped us out. I think that you would benefit from a conversation with him.
Yeah. So it's like word of mouth. That's the thing.
I got a question. So what does that look like? Are you like, okay, let me look at your bank statements. Let me see what kind of
that was my next question
you're bringing in, and then what if they're in a situation where they don't have money? Like, then it's like, do you talk about do you get another job or let's work with what you have? How does that go?
Yeah, how does that work? What do they do to prepare to meet with you? Yeah,
that's a good question. I guess I'll address two myths that people have. Is number one is that I need to have a lot of money to have a financial advisor. I need to be rich or millionaire. That's not true. And number two is that people will think that they don't need an advisor because exactly that they don't have money, right? Or they don't have anything.
Yeah.
But the truth is that when I meet with a new prospective client, I like to make it so simple and casual because I don't want to overwhelm people with like, hey, bring me your bank statements, bring me your account statements, your investment statements, insurances. People are going to get scared if I tell them that because they're going to get overwhelmed. So first conversation that we have is just casual. Like, let's get to know each other. Let's get to see if we're even a fit for one another.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about you, tell them, more about myself. And if it's a fit, we have a second discussion, more formal.
Yeah.
And we just move forward like that. So whenever I meet somebody new for the first time, it's just casual. Let's just have a conversation. I want to learn more about you. I'm not going to get into no numbers right off the bat. What I like to talk about is behavioral stuff because everybody comes to the table with a bias. People look at money differently than I do. You look at money differently than you do, right? So I like to start the conversation over like, hey, what's your relationship with money? How did you grow up with money? How did you see your parents handle money, your finances?
Yeah.
I want to learn more about that first. And then if it's a fit to move forward, then okay, like if you want to roll over your money with us, we'll need to see some statements. Let's go through your balance sheet. Let's see if you have, what's your debt looking like, stuff like that.
So it's just as important for him to know you and you to know him. So that's the first step, is building that relationship. And he's going to need some information, guys. Some of y'all are lazy. Y'all don't want to get the information out. Stop that. Not only does he need to know what your current situation is, he needs to know how you spend your money too, right? You need to know, where is the money going?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing is, it doesn't matter if you make $10,000 a year or $1 million a year. I've met people that make really modest incomes that are huge savers.
Yeah.
I've met people that make great incomes, way into the six figures. They're living way beyond their means.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how much money you make. It matters like what do you keep? What's your relationship with that money?
Biggie Smalls, more money, more problems.
Yes, you are
That's
right,
how it
man.
is.
That's how it is for real. Because
Yeah.
people think that, I just need to make more money. I just need to make more money. No, you just need to learn how to manage the money you have, because the more money you get isn't going to solve the problem, right? You're just going to think that you just need more money, more money, more money. And it's no good to have money if you don't know how to use it
Exactly.
or how to make it work for you. So
You know
yeah.
what too? I just want to mention something. So like people that are like maybe bad with cards, because I've recommended this to some of my clients too, because you really lose track of what's in your account if you just swipe and swipe and swipe.
Yeah.
Take the cash out. Like, okay, this is rent, this is fund money, this is whatever.
Mhm.
And when it's gone, and it helps you become aware of like, damn, I didn't messed off a lot of money, or damn, I didn't really have to spend this cash on that.
Yeah.
Because once that's gone, there is no more.
Right.
So that might actually like help people instead of like swiping their card.
Yeah. So maybe creating some type of budget.
Mhm.
100%.
How would you recommend people go about doing that?
So this comes back to the question, like I've met people that are very analytical. I need to know exactly every cent, what's coming in, what's going out. So they'll make spreadsheets, and that's good.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are like, I don't like dealing with all the details, like I don't like dealing with that stuff. It gives me headaches.
Mm-hmm.
So there's good news, right? So I personally am a user of this method called the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of my income is used for my bills. 30% of my income is used towards fund money,
Mhm.
splurge on stuff that clothes, vacations, whatever, right? And then 20%, that is like the magic percentage number that needs to be saved every single month.
20% save.
Or invested, right? So
Mm-hmm.
So what I do personally and what I encourage everybody to do is always pay yourself first. You guys may have heard that phrase before.
My mama taught me that.
Pay yourself first.
Listen,
I hope y'all listening.
Pay yourself
Yes.
first, because when you get paid, you get your paycheck, you have your car note that's due, rent is due, other obligations are due.
Yeah.
And at the very end, Ricardo, if I spend my money on my other bills, and I like to buy, let's say if I like to buy stuff, like I spend money on clothes, shoes, whatever, my money's gone and Ricardo didn't get paid. And Ricardo's the one working for that money. He didn't get paid. He didn't get his cut of the money. And then people
Get your cut.
wonder why they have more bills than money at the end of the month, because they're not making themselves a priority. I'm a big believer that you need to invest for tomorrow, but not at the expense of today. So there has to be a balance.
Wait, repeat that. Wait. This is a quote. I wish I could
Say that again.
say that again. You need to. And then I'm gonna give you the clapping button.
That was a line right there.
That was the one, Ricardo. Say it again.
So yeah, to give you context of that, people will say, well, life is short. Like, what if I die tomorrow? So I tell people,
YOLO.
don't sacrifice today for your tomorrow, but also don't sacrifice tomorrow for today. So there has to be a balance.
There has to be a
I
balance.
met people that say like, hey, I'm just gonna splurge my money because life is not promised. And I say that's true.
Yeah.
What if you get to live to be 95? We don't know.
Then what is the quality of your life at that point?
What does your life look like then?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people, it's hard for them to grasp that idea of living a longer life. So I just, tell people like, hey, like by all means, enjoy today, but not at the expense of your future,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
I can't remember what I was listening to. It was some guy, he was saying, stop taking the flights, stop going on these elaborate vacations, stop buying these luxury cars, and invest. Find out where you can invest your money based off of the things that you want to achieve in life. And like you said, a lot of people don't even realize they can see a financial advisor or a consultant. They have no idea that you guys are for them. There's this stigma that you guys aren't for us, that you guys are against us, or you're telling us what to do. No, you're very, very helpful. You're guiding us. You're setting some tools, some guidelines. You're giving those resources out so that we can do what's best for us and our families.
Exactly.
So we want to change the narrative, right? And get people to to take this all in and apply it to their everyday lives. So this is great, guys. I got some more questions for you. What are some services that you offer for people? Like, what are some of the things that they should reach out to you and ask for?
Yeah, so some of the services that we offer are insurance planning, so life insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance.
Okay.
I also do have the ability to sell Medicare insurance and health insurance.
Okay.
We also offer investment solutions, so opening up accounts, whether it be retirement planning or just buying, get into the stock market via, brokerage accounts, 5 to 9 accounts for the kiddos, for their college accounts. And then we also offer, we partner with people and their attorneys, to, let's say if somebody needs a will, we get them help with that. If they need a trust, we have attorneys that we work with that will help them with that. And that's one big thing too that a lot of people don't think about is having your estate planning, done.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that everybody should have an estate plan. It doesn't matter if you're making $50,000 a year or $100 million a year. Like, everybody needs some form of estate plan.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be a will, a simple will go a long way, and a trust.
Mm-hmm.
Having
Yeah.
a trust in place keeps the money within the family, and a lot of the times, you avoid taxes that way by having a
Yeah.
trust in place.
I heard that.
I don't really, to be honest with you, it's very rare to hear that someone has a will, to hear that someone
Listen.
has their life insurance together.
Mhm.
Man, those
Very
things,
rare.
you hear people talk about it when someone passes and everybody's all upset. And now you got these GoFundMe accounts.
Selling plates.
Man, they doing
Right,
everything that
everything.
they can, but what they should be doing, they not doing that.
Mhm.
How can we encourage people to take the other road? How can we make them confident in actually making those investments and doing those things? Like, what could we do, guys? Like,
We need to have a conversation. It starts at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Parents, siblings. We need to get rid of that stigma that talking about money is bad,
Mhm.
and make it a conversation that needs to be had. It starts at home. Because when it comes to, like, for example, for life insurance planning, people will come to me when something bad has happened already. For example, they'll say, like, "Hey, Ricardo, I just got diagnosed with cancer. Like, I've been thinking about a lot about my family. Like, if I were to die, like, I don't have anything for them." Unfortunately, it may be too late for that person already because something
Yeah.
already happened. Or they know somebody within their family or a close group of friends that, they passed away and they didn't have an insurance policy. They had to go get a GoFundMe. So now in their mind, it clicks like, hey, like, this is important, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it has to take something big like that to happen for people to think about these things.
Mm-hmm.
So my goal is to always just have a conversation and bring it to people's attentions. And, you need to plan for things like this way beforehand.
Yeah.
Because once it's too late, like, we can't do anything about it.
Right. And what does life insurance typically even cost? I heard
It's really not that
it's not
bad,
that
to
bad.
be honest, especially like if you don't have like any like condition like diabetes or cancer. But even if you do, like, there's some insurance companies that is still like accept you. Your premium just might be higher.
Right.
Okay.
But like, say if you don't have any health issues, you could get like $100,000 policy, maybe like 50, 60, that depending on like if it's a term, is it whole life, like
Yeah.
it's not less than a pair of shoes.
That's something
Less
deep
than
to
a
go
pair of
into.
Jordans.
It's less than gas. So,
Literally.
like, people will spend more
Less
money on
than gas. Come on now, y'all. Get your life insurance.
Plan.
But it goes back
Man.
to, the reason why people avoid these conversations is because of their own bias, right? People will think like, well, we're talking about death. For me, that's really uncomfortable.
It is,
I don't
yeah.
want to bring it up right now. That's uncomfortable. And they like to put it up for tomorrow. Or they'll say like, hey, life insurance is a good deal, but maybe when I have kids, I'll think about it, or a family.
Yeah.
And, nothing wrong with that. But who knows? By then, life insurance is based on your age and your health. So the longer that you wait, it'll get more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You get older, you might start having some health issues. You never know. And
Right.
it may be harder to get qualified in the future. When I meet with younger folks with no kids, I've met with younger folks with 0 kids, zero, no girlfriend, not married. But they think ahead of their future so far ahead. They're like, hey, I'm 25 now, but when I'm 30, I want to have my own kids, my family. I'm planning right now to get my insurance in place because I'm at my healthiest that I'm ever gonna be.
Yeah, that's the smart
That's
way
smart.
to go.
You know, I'm gonna get a big policy because I'm gonna grow into it when I get older.
Mhm.
So instead of buying insurance after, big events happen, year after year, I coach my clients to buy more insurance now and just have them think bigger.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you're young right now, you're 25, you're single. In the next 5 years, you may have a family. I want you to think for the person in 10
For the
years.
long
For the long
term.
term.
Mhm.
Yes. All right. That was, I heard this, and I don't know how true this is. People be having a whole bunch of life insurance. The people that do, how
Mhm.
much life insurance can you get? And
You
I
can get-
and I
Oh,
recently
you get a
heard you can
lot.
borrow from it too, and
Yeah,
you can
depending
use
on what
it.
it is. I know somebody got a $2 million life insurance policy.
Yep.
Wow.
So this is where it comes into, working with someone like us or just even having a conversation, you get to learn about the different types of policies that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that, I have it through my work. Like, I think I should be fine. They don't really know how it works or what it covers. They'll just say like, yeah, I got something. I went to my bank and I bought something. I don't know,
Yeah.
and I'll be like, you don't know, but you bought it. Like, you need to know how these things work in the event that something did happen.
Mhm.
So working with someone, we hold our clients accountable. We meet together every 6 months to review the policies because life changes.
It
And
does.
so should these policies along the way.
True.
I've met people that are married, get a policy on one another, they divorce, and they forget about it. And it's like, I don't want my ex-wife to get all the money if I were to pass away. So it's important to update these policies as we go on.
Mm.
And,
Like for who they have down as
a
the
beneficiary.
beneficiary.
Right.
Ah, see?
Yeah.
Gems. That's good information, man. Thank you. Thank you. What are some of the questions that you typically get from people? Like, what are some of like maybe the top questions that they ask you?
One of the biggest ones is, you as an advisor, like, how do you get paid? And I always address that, even if people don't ask me, because if I meet with somebody in their mind, they're thinking like, how does Ricardo get paid? Do I have to pay him?
Yeah.
So I always address the elephant in the room, and I say I get paid in a few ways. I get paid via commissions if we implement any insurance product. I get paid commissions depending on the type of investment accounts that we do open up, or we get paid a fee based on assets under management, or sometimes we do charge a fee per plan if the individual wants that. If an individual just says, Ricardo, I want you to make me a plan that says everything I got to do, I'm going to pay for that, but I'm going to do the implementation on my own. Like, I'm
Okay.
going to do my own investments, everything else on my own. They're just going to pay us for our time, basically, to
Okay.
develop a plan. Meeting with me, though, is 100% free. And I'll tell my clients or my prospective clients, I'm going to get compensated if you decide to move forward on any insurance or investments. So I'm very transparent on that because I always put myself in the client's shoes. If somebody hit me up to sit with them, I'll be like, so how are you going to get paid, Ricardo? Like, I'm really curious about that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things I'll get asked, and I address that every single time. Another thing that I get asked to is, do I need to have a minimum of investment set aside in order to work with you? And the answer is no, because I've met people that have gone to, like Merrill Lynch or BMO or JP Morgan, and they say that in order to work with an advisor with them, we need to have at least $200K saved up already.
Interesting.
Wow.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
So, and the answer is no, you don't need a certain minimum. You can get started with $0. I help people roll over old 401ks. It could be a balance of 50, 100,000, 200. It doesn't matter, right? So there's no minimums in order to work with me.
Okay.
Um,
That's good to know. No minimums to work with him.
so those two are one of the biggest. Another question that I get asked is if I do national work, and the answer is yes. So I'm licensed in about 10 states right now. If I get referred to someone in, Washington, I can get licensed in that state, and they can become a client. So I can do business in all 50 states in the
Nice.
U.S.
That's
Nice.
great. That's great. He can help you all around the USA.
Thanks to COVID, we got introduced to the virtual world, so it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Through Zoom and phone calls. So having a national practice for me is something that's going to happen.
That's fantastic,
Nice.
man. That's
That's what's up.
fantastic. Yeah, that's helpful. You guys are really, really schooling us today. I love it. What are some of the common mistakes that you think like that people make when it comes to, spending their money? Like, what are some of the things that you feel like people need to just chill on? I see people getting lit all the time. Maybe they need to stop getting lit as often.
I feel like people think that they got time, and in reality, we really don't know. We really don't know.
That's true.
It can be over in the next 60 seconds, the next 50 years. Like, we don't know.
That's true.
And I feel like some people are also in denial with how much money they actually have. And then, like you mentioned, that people wait until something bad happens. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
What are some of the common mistakes that they make?
That people make when it comes to their finances?
Yes.
Not saving, not being prepared for the worst. What else? Thinking in the now, in the present, and not the future.
Yeah.
And just having conversations. Some people really don't like to talk about money, and I feel like it's so important to talk about money. Like, why don't you know where you stand for yourself financially? That is like, I don't know. That's big for me.
Yeah, that's huge.
Like, I need to know, well, what am I spending my money on? How is it being spent? When did I spend it? Like, that's important. And I really feel like, like, sort of in the Black community, people don't talk about that. Like,
they don't.
I have conversations about finances all the time with my son. He's 14. With my mom, my dad, my sister, and some people really just brush it off like they have time, and I just really don't like that. And I feel like it's really just a sad situation, and it's unfortunate. And I don't know. I feel like it needs to be discussed more.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be discussed more. We got to figure out a way to get people more interested and get them more committed, right? Get them committed to make those changes in their life. So that's why I wanted to have y'all here today, just to kind of expose some of those things, help you guys hear from real professionals who look like us. Look, they look like us. I love that. These two are successful. They're doing well for themselves, and they want us to do the same. And so even that's important. The work ethic, right? The work ethic, and just that true desire to want to have something more for yourself. Let me ask you this: what is the best way to save your money? Like, do you just do you just recommend getting a savings account? I know some people are very weary about putting their money in the bank because now the bank has control over their money. Your money's in the bank. You can't touch it when you want to touch it. But the whole point is saving it. So you shouldn't be trying to touch it, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think is some of the best ways to save? Would you say save it through some type of IRA, save it through some type of Roth account, or just a simple savings account? Like, what? Put it under your mattress. Like, what do you recommend?
No mattress.
No mattress.
I feel like maybe the bank.
Put it in the
walls. Like, if you have control, like out of sight, out of mind, versus you keeping cash in the house. Like, oh, let me just put it out of here real quick. I'll put it back in there tomorrow. So I definitely feel like saving, but then I also feel like if income is like maybe an issue, maybe look at something that you can maybe turn into like a business or like a side hustle to like to produce more, more income. So maybe like if you're living like paycheck to paycheck or whatever the case may be, you'll have like some additional income coming in. And then like Ricardo said, I'm sorry.
You okay?
And then like Ricardo said, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought.
No worries.
It's okay.
Got it here. I lost my train of thought.
It's been a long day.
It has been a long day. But yeah, just saving in general. To be like he said, pay yourself first.
Yeah,
that's what I meant to say. Pay yourself first. Even like,
it doesn't. I mean,
if you're short on a bill, I feel like you should always pay yourself first, because you were the one that went to work, that worked those 40 or 80 hours every 2 weeks. So why not pay yourself first?
Is there a percentage of somebody's paycheck that they should put away?
So
you said 20%,
20% is if you whatever amount you make on a monthly basis, you should be aiming to save 20%. Now, for some folks, they'll say like, that's not doable for me. It could be 5%, 10%, work your way up to 20%.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I like to structure, 401ks are so successful in the corporate world because they take your money out of your paycheck and you never see that money.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
like
they
she
match
mentioned,
it sometimes.
if they match it, that's golden. But it's so effective because you don't see that money.
Mm-hmm.
If your employer gave you the option to say like, Kenda, like you have to manually take it out of your paycheck and you invest it yourself. If you take a look at a full 12-month calendar year, think about how many months out of the year you'll be successful doing that.
Yeah.
If it was on your shoulders to invest it every month, probably half, maybe even less than that, who knows? Because of your psychology will take over and you'll say, hey, this month, I want to splurge myself with something nice, I'm not going to save my money. So if you can set up your savings to be automatic, that's a helpful tool to do. I tell people, especially now when, the interest rates have been rising, high yield savings accounts are golden because they are paying really attractive rates on your savings. I've seen accounts like Marcus by Goldman Sachs. They're paying you 4.15% on your money that's just sitting in an account. Versus if you go to your regular bank, like BMO or Chase, they're paying you 0.01.
Yeah, they're giving you nothing.
Nothing.
To put it in a savings account.
So take advantage of these high yield savings accounts. Online banks, they're typically online banks. And they are FDIC insured up to $250,000. So if you have anything less than that in the bank, you shouldn't have to worry about, losing your money.
Wow.
Because it is insured. And I tell people, aim to have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up in a savings account in case of an emergency happening.
Yeah.
If you have way more money saved up in a savings account than that, my recommendation is, maybe we need to look at other vehicles to start funding because 6 months, if you have 6 months worth of your expenses saved up, if something did happen, you're good for 6 months.
Yeah.
And something that I like to address too is that I'm all into saving and investing your money.
Mm-hmm.
But also I help my clients think bigger, like, hey, like, could you make more money? I heard a quote by, I think, Elon Musk saying that it's easier to make an extra $10,000 than to save $10,000. So
That's
helping
a fact. I believe that.
people, think bigger, like, hey, like, how can we actually make more money versus living within our salary? How can we make more?
Yeah.
Through side hustles.
Several
starting a
streams of
business.
income.
That's big. It could be in some cases easier to make more money than to save it for the people that, find it hard to do that.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I never heard that before, man.
I'm gonna say something.
That's
too.
knowledge.
So I feel like when it comes to like saving too, I feel like people priorities be kind of like out of whack. And the reason why I say that is because like some people will be like they don't have money for something, but they genuinely do. Like, how you don't have money for this? But I just saw you on Facebook and you in Miami in a section. Like, what do you like? Like, what do you mean? Like, so some people really just be having their priorities really messed up, or like even like social media too. Like, people feel like they gotta have this so they can portray to be this, and it'll cause them really spending like unnecessary money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
they gotta stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, because even the Joneses can't keep up with themselves if we really want to be real. So
that's
great.
There's a book that I recommend everybody look into. It's called The Psychology of Money.
Okay.
It's a great book. It talks about everything psychological, why we make decisions, how can we look at money as a tool versus attaching our emotions to it. It's a great book and I highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah.
It'll put a lot of things in perspective, about your finances.
I'll have to get that book.
It's called Psychology of Money. It's a great book.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate this knowledge today. This is so helpful. So I want to talk about something before we end the show today. So let's talk about this, y'all. Ooh-wee. So one of my things that I wanted to address, because I see this a lot, and I'm not innocent. I've done this. Haven't felt comfortable enough to talk to someone that you're interested in when it comes to dating them. You guys are spending all this money on dates, But then when it comes down to having those conversations about when is it appropriate to talk about your money, because who wants to find out 6 months down the line you all in love and
Way
stuff,
too long.
and now you find out they got a repo and their house on a lien, or they got back pay child support. All these things that can be a factor. And now you find yourself with someone who's not financially responsible, right? That's a huge one. How many relationships, marriages, break up due to financial problems? You might find out that this person doesn't see money the way that you see it. Like you were saying earlier, people see money differently. They see it, the value in it. It's all mental. So I looked this up and I found an article by a young lady named Meredith Hoffman. And this article is from bankrate.com, in case you guys want to pull this up yourselves. They came up with when should you talk about money with your significant other? And I thought this was important. Huge thing. We hear a lot of people say that's off limits. It's too early to talk about that. Don't come to me asking me about my money. It can be a turn off. Why are you turned off about me trying to find out if I'm safe with you? Especially if my money is right. I got money. My money is right. Yeah. So let's talk about why your money ain't right. You see the jokes, right? All the jokes. Let's talk about how come since I've been dating you, you ain't paid a bill, or you've been broke since I met you. Let's talk about that, right? So we hear that. A lot of people joking about it. So let's get down to the real with this, right? So I looked this up and it says here, roughly 25% of people in relationships keep their money separate from their significant other. And this is according to a survey from Policy Genius. The study found that some people are completely in the dark when it comes to their partner's finances, with more than 16% of respondents not knowing their significant other's salary. That's mind-blowing, man. Yeah. That's mind-blowing, man. So it does say that a lack of transparency is surrounding money and can lead to conflicts in relationships. And we see that. We see how it impacts you the now. We see how it impacts people in the future with their partners, and how it can be challenging when it comes to you guys wanting to buy a house, get a loan, things like that. Things are coming out the woodwork, right? So they made a couple suggestions, a couple tips, and we're going to talk about the tips and see what you guys feel about it, because you guys do this every day. So it says start the conversations early. Mm-hmm. Now, how early? How early do you start the conversations?
I probably wouldn't talk about it on the very first date, to be honest.
Right.
But probably like within the first 5 dates. I feel like we grown.
Yes.
Like, and we only getting older. And I feel like it's important to talk about. You don't want to not talk about finances and you be in a situation where now you don't have nothing in your savings account because of your partner. Like, so I feel like early, but I personally wouldn't talk about it on the first date.
Yeah. What do you think, Ricardo? How soon have you talked about this with anybody you dated?
Yeah, I mean, me being like a money guy,
I'm the wealth guy. I'm gonna talk about it.
Me being a money guy since I was really young, I'm like, if I'm doing good myself, like I need to make sure that my partner is also doing good.
Yeah.
But to her point, like I wouldn't bring it up, or I mean, not in the first date for sure. If you see that something is going on with that person, if it's getting serious, if it's escalating to something positive, then yeah, I mean, having those conversations like, hey, how much are you making? Right? Like, it's 2023. If I know that you're a software engineer, like for example, like, let's talk about, how much money do you make? Yeah. I'm transparent. Like, I make X amount. I always like to talk about, just tell me how your relationship was growing up. Like, that's my favorite question to ask people.
Yeah.
Because asking that question, you get to see some of the things that they witnessed when they were kids. Mm-hmm. If we saw our parents struggle, maybe that person's going to be more frugal. They're going to be more careful with their money and their spending habits.
Yeah.
If they saw their parents be, kind of careless with money, psychologically that person may be like, I don't save anything. I just spend it, live my life like there's no tomorrow. So it's good to just, address the elephants in the room and just, see where you both stand. Like, what are your values? And, communication and compromising are two big things that every relationship should have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's give that clap for that.
And I'm not no relationship expert.
And you don't even gotta be a relationship expert. But you guys, you know that's important. That's a key move. How you break the ice though? Do you just come out and be like,
I actually like what he said. Like, how was your childhood? Because
How
I
was
feel
your
like
childhood?
That's an open-ended question,
Mhm.
and that leads into you getting the idea. Like, okay, maybe they grew up this way, or maybe they might not be good at saving based off what they're telling me how they grew up, how they were raised with money, or maybe I like that, to be honest. Open-ended questions,
yeah.
because you can.
Get
You
You
a
can
lot of
find out a lot of
information,
information, and they'll start to kind of talk on their own, and you won't
Mhm.
even have to ask
Just sit
because
back
they'll
and
start to
listen.
spill the details.
Mhm.
Ooh, okay, you're a little tricky. I see. Okay.
That's a good question.
For you ladies is trying to, work your way his way, he gonna ask you. All right, I think that's fantastic advice, guys. The next thing that it actually recommends is discuss your financial values.
Mhm.
It says rather than just discussing the numbers, talk to your partner about what's truly important when it comes to spending money. Maybe you prioritize saving, like you were saying earlier, for travel or retirement over shopping, or maybe you want to start a business,
Mhm.
right? So kind of find out what direction they want to take their life
Mhm.
and how they see money.
Right.
Mhm.
So maybe say that, maybe, what do you think when it comes to money? Like, how do you care about your spending habits? Like, or where do you invest your money? What is it about money for you? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. So
Yeah, I will mention that. I will ask like what their goals are. And then outside of asking what their goals are, like outside of you telling me, what actions have you taken to ensure that you're reaching those goals? Have you gave yourself
that's an accountability question.
Have you gave yourself a deadline? What are you doing right now? So I can know if you're full of shit or
Where are you full of shit? I love it. Yes.
You gotta
That's an
say how it
accountability
is.
question. And the one that look at you like this and run about the restaurant, they ain't for you.
I mean, I think we've all been there, right? When you go on a date for the first time, and it's just like, I mean, as a man, like, if I ask you on a date, like, I'm gonna pay, like, but I've met people that have told me stories, and they're like, yeah, like the guy said, let's go 50-50, on the first date, and
that's happened.
That's so awkward.
Hey.
I was embarrassed.
Hey, I've done
it's
it where
embarrassing. It's awkward.
I've done
you
it
know?
where I don't want you to think I owe you something.
Right.
So you buy the movie tickets and I'm gonna buy the snacks.
See, I feel like that's fair,
That's fair. Because what if I
mean-
don't like you and you don't like me? Now,
Yeah, I mean, like those things are big because like if I, for example, there's nothing wrong with the man paying for every day, like if that's how they view the relationship and that's how they are happy with it, like there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But then I've met a ton of guys, friends of mine, colleagues, at some point down the road, they get fed up and they're like, man, like I'm just getting sucked dry. Like, my pockets are getting emptied.
I'd have been on 10 dates this week and spent $100 at the restaurant.
$200, and
I'm 500 in the hole.
And they'll ask me, when is a good time to kind of like say like, hey, maybe you should pay for this and I'll take care of the movies or, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like any relationship or situationship may run into those issues. So I'm just curious to see how you guys would approach that conversation.
I mean, I feel like it's everyday women dating everyday guys and they want these guys to act like millionaires. That's not fair.
And this is my thing too.
That's not fair at all.
Taking me out on a date, I feel like some women is just like
Doing
ignorant.
the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody's taking me out on a date and I'm really into him and vice versa, and he's paying for everything, don't be slow. He paying for everything.
Right.
You know what? He didn't pay for the last 7 days. I'm about to treat him and I'm about to pay for everything. Guys
Yes.
appreciate that. Women do not do that. And that's
Man,
crazy.
they don't do that. I mean, I'm one that will. But I ain't up for dating though right now. But these two got it together. Y'all. I'm not giving y'all no ideas or nothing, but they got an inbox. Oh, that's some great advice, y'all. A third thing that they mentioned in the article is don't wait until you're angry. Don't wait till you get mad to start talking about you broke. You broke anyway.
I mean, I saw that growing up with my parents, like it was always like having arguments about money. And then when someone is angry, that's when like the hurtful things may come out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a big point to acknowledge is, don't bring it up when you're angry because, the other party may say like, you never brought this up before.
Yeah.
Why is it an issue now?
Right.
So I feel like just holding that in, just like holding anger in is just not good for that.
No, it's definitely not good for that. It's not good for that. Don't be waiting until you get mad at them and then be calling them a broke ass. That ain't cool. And don't be doing that to her either. Tell about something. You ain't got nothing to bring to the table. No way. Y'all do too much. All right. The next one is highlight your partner's financial strengths. If money is a point of contention in your relationship, you may only focus on the faults you see in your partner's spending habits.
Then what if those spending habits involve the partner? Like,
man,
that's a whole.
Hey, it's this show on Netflix. I can't think of the name of it, but it's this show on Netflix. It's like something about money. And the guy on the show, he's a financial expert, and he's like, he's getting these couples together. Man, some of these couples had 10 credit cards. They refused to have a bank account together because one person has terrible spending habits. And in this particular relationship, a young lady said, absolutely not. I will not. I refuse to have a bank account with my husband. I refuse because I went to the store and I wanted to use our card and our card declined because he had a video game subscription and the payment came out and he was addicted to video games and it took the last of their money. So now she absolutely refuses to get a bank account with her husband. So they all got their own, they each have their own credit cards and they each have their own bank accounts, but they don't do anything combined.
And I feel like for those cases, maybe like this goes back to the first tip is like, starting the conversation early.
Yeah.
Definitely you should have this conversation before you get married and, things like that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen, some of my clients, with married couples, like each of them will have their own checking account, but they will have one joint account for, let's say, things for the house, things that they both, know they need to save money for, and like things that they wouldn't mind each other spending money on. And I think that's a good way to approach things. Like, it's like, hey, like I want to have my own checking account. If I want to go buy my video games, like that makes me happy. Like that's my money.
Yeah.
You have your own account.
Should they have an allowance? Do you think that they should have an allowance and say, this is the bucket that we're going to split? This is our allowance. You get this, I get this. Or do you recommend them saving their own money for a rainy day? Now she has her money in case she get mad at him and she gotta go.
They should do both, to be honest, but I feel like that involves communication.
Yeah.
Like a lot of communication and trust, especially when it comes to like the joint account. And I feel like maybe they should have a game plan. Like, okay, every month I'm gonna put in 300. I want you to put in 300 too. Yeah. And this is specifically only for this. It's not. We don't have this joint account to where you just benefited. It would have to benefit like both of us in some way. And then we'll have our individual accounts for it. If it's something like, I got to get my hair done, I'm gonna use my own money, or I'm addicted to this. Like I'm going to use my own personal money instead of the joint account. Yeah. But I feel like that definitely has to be talked about.
Yeah, that definitely needs to be talked about. So if y'all not doing something like that, talk about this. Consider it so that you guys can like minimize the frustration a little bit when it comes to each other's spending habits. Good one.
Mm-hmm.
The next one. No, I was gonna say the next one says be honest. Well, we've been saying that transparency, right? Mm-hmm. What you got, Ricardo?
I was just gonna say at the end of the day, you just have to do what works for you. Because like, you hear a lot of noise. They're like, oh, you should be doing this and doing that, and maybe they work for them, but for us it's different. So
Yeah.
I feel like just finding common ground and compromising
Mhm.
and just doing what
Like-
works for the both of you, right? Like forget about what your mom says, what your
Mhm.
sister says, or whoever,
Yeah.
and just communicate and see like how we work together well,
Yeah.
and how she mentioned there needs to be a lot of communication.
Yeah.
a
There's
lot of communication.
there's a lot of people in relationships hiding money, man. They got money hidden.
There's gambling problems.
Man.
There's like
Mhm.
there's men that they see a little bit of money and they go to the casino,
Strip club money.
strip club money.
I'm
anything.
probably
Stop
gonna
throwing
wanna
my money at them
Let me
strippers.
see your bank statement. Let me just make sure you ain't just telling me a story.
You got a scenario?
Hey, just happened today.
Hey, Tommy. Tommy's in the building, y'all.
I'm sorry, I just got here. Exclusive.
Exclusive.
Right. So, a friend of mine, very prominent business owner, entrepreneur, wants to expand their business, went to expand their business and wanted to buy a building. Got a great deal on the building. Building was ready to roll. Did all the inspection, everything. Went and got the loan, got it approved,
Yeah.
and then got it denied. Trying to figure out why it got denied because credit is immaculate. Did all their work. Their spouse had been late on a bankruptcy payment and had not been telling that
Wow.
they were late on the bankruptcy and put them in jail because Wisconsin is a married state.
Yeah.
That hurt because they bought the house on their own before the marriage. But then this is the first joint situation
Yeah.
and Wisconsin is a married state that impacted their income. So now I got to go get a co-signer because that messed up their credit. So I try to keep the gender out of it so people don't even actually put the pieces together. But I was like, man, I know you mad. Like, I cussed them the hell out.
I know
Like,
they was
wow.
sleeping on the couch.
Man, I mean,
It's huge. That's a
the
big
marriage
thing.
might be over because that's
Damn, that's how.
bad it is.
Wow.
Because they weren't being
They were being
honest.
honest up front about their money and how their finances were paying bills on time and whatnot. And you over there like doing everything you can to keep your stuff immaculate, and then your spouse is not just
Over there not giving a damn.
shoe game hot.
Shoe game hot.
Shoe game
Got
hot.
every pair of
Yes.
Yeezys, every pair of J's,
Right.
but forgot to pay that bankruptcy payment.
Hey, so that messed them up.
Oh,
So,
man.
no, hey, that's
And
my
those,
tidbit.
they
Yeah,
happen
I
all the time.
appreciate that. Yeah.
That happens all the time. And to that point, there's sometimes that's a big reason why some couples don't want to meet with a financial advisor because they don't want to
Exposed.
lay out what's going on, behind the scenes. It's crazy. Like I found out things that in a meeting with the clients that they never told their spouse, and it gets to be very like,
Oh, we found out right there.
Oh,
yeah, like
Oh.
so we'll find out things that they never communicated about, and I could just feel like the intense and like
Ooh.
it gets hot in there.
that heat.
You need a podcast.
Coming soon, Ricardo Navarro.
Financial diaries.
I
Yeah.
love it. Financial
Yeah.
diaries.
Hey, I like that
Oh,
name.
let's go. Opportunities. That's how we roll. Awesome. All right, guys. So I hope you all learned something today. How could you not have learned something today? Right? We got hella knowledge today. Apply it, use it. And if you still have questions, guys, tell them how they can reach you. How can they contact you?
So, my name's Gloria. If you would like your credit fixed, you can either text credit to 414-246-5733, or you can call that number as well. You can also follow my business page on Facebook, which is First Class Financial Solutions. Yeah.
I remember you.
Yeah. I remember you too. You can also follow me on Instagram at First Class _Financial Solutions. On credit repair, I repair credit repair. I've been successful in just about removing any type of negative account. So yeah, contact me.
Yes. Link up with your girl because she know her stuff. I heard nothing but good stuff about you. I had to bring her back because she kind of gave us a small tidbit the last time she came. She was here, if you guys don't remember, for episode 3, mixing business with friendships. Her and my girl Brianna, shout out to Brianna, came through, and both of them are very knowledgeable with this stuff. So absolutely contact her. And after the show, we'll drop her a link to her page, and we can go ahead and put that phone number in there too, so people can remember it and link up with you. What about you, Ricardo? What you got?
Yeah, I'd say the easiest way is through social media, through Facebook, Ricardo Navarro. It'll have all my information on there. My business page, my email, phone number. So again, Ricardo Navarro on Facebook. That's usually what I use most. And then I have LinkedIn as well. Same thing, Ricardo Navarro. Yeah, I mean, just go on social media, and if you want to connect, we can connect through there.
Awesome. And we'll go ahead and tag his page too, guys, so you can go right to him, start asking the right questions, link up with him. Like you said, you don't have to be perfect to have a financial advisor. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need anything perfect. You just have to have the initiative and the desire to get it all together. So get yourself right, set your family up for long-term success, and then reach out to these guys. They've been so helpful. Thank you again. I appreciate y'all time today.
Yeah, thank you for having me too.
Awesome. All right. So we're going to end season 1, episode 4 with some knowledge. Minding My Own Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Kenda, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.